You're fine. Come on in. We actually we're having some technical issues, so it worked out just fine. We haven't started the meeting yet.
Congratulations for being named all kinds of positions and boards.
Oh, dear.
And other activities.
I should put it in a paper bag because it does look a little yucky. I'm sure
That's
people
all
are
right.
wondering what the heck I was
So-
bringing in here.
These are short-eared owl, at least I assume.
Short,
short.
they're short, they're short.
So these are short-eared owl pellets, which our team will properly sanitize and then do owl pellet, like the word dissections. Right, and so with that, the kids then go in and utilizing some reference material can identify from the bones what kind of animals the owls are eating and start to construct a food chain.
They're probably mice and moles, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe the
Jonathan,
occasion.
can you click on OK under there?
Oh, it's
That's why I'm late.
You thought maybe the.
Let's be serious.
On roster.
On Rosser, of all
Pretty-
places.
Whereabouts on Russell?
Right between the shopping center and, when I turn right, what's the?
Oh, Main Street up here, where the Burger
on Main Street, it was Ross closer to it,
Barbie.
where Marty's. is.
Oh, up that way.
Ross.
Ludwig?
No,
No, Middleborough.
Oh, no, okay.
Anyway.
Anyway,
It was somebody else.
all right, we are now live, so we will go ahead and I'll call the meeting to order of our Waynesboro Advocacy Committee. And welcome everybody to a new year. We do have minutes from December. Let's go ahead and see if there are any corrections to those minutes. Any corrections? Hearing none, we'll approve those. Our community connections. I guess we're beginning with the lecture series, so I'm actually on deck to be our science speaker for January. We're going to be premiering a video that we put together with the South River Watershed Coalition to tell the story of the travels of a rubber duck from the headwaters of South River all the way to the Chesapeake Bay, with the hope that teachers and the education community can use this to teach watershed science and specifically about the South River and its connections. So I hope that you'll be able to join me there. We'll also have the videographer that we worked with, a gentleman by the name of David Verde, and we'll talk a little bit about the production process. And we also have we have the rights to screen a documentary video which kind of inspired me, which was done in the 1960s, called Paddle to the Sea. And I viewed it when I was a young boy, and I thought, oh, this is something we need to refresh and renew. So that'll be how we kick off our lecture series. Can't remember what our other topics are for coming up.
February's Chris Lundwood.
That sounds
From
right.
Heritage.
Yeah, I think that is correct. Yeah.
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 Thank you, Faye, for putting us in touch with them. Yeah. And then we have March and April speakers as well, and then we'll take the summer off until we get back in to September. So that's what I have about the lecture series.
What date is that you're speaking?
It is a Tuesday, I think, 15th. 20th sounds right. There's actually a flyer in the lobby right
Is
there.
it the second or is it the third Tuesday? I know
It's
it
usually the
oscillates.
third Tuesday,
Right.
unless there's a conflict with the Wayne Theater doing practice for some show or something.
It should be the Tuesday, the 20th.
That's all. Tuesday, 20th at 7 p.m. Yep. Free admission. Say what you will. We're also actually giving out little duckies to promote it. So the first 50 people that attend will get a duck for sure. Yeah, Jay.
Everybody needs one of those for their tub.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or their Jeep, right?
Yeah.
On Jeep dashboards. And as always, if you have any ideas for upcoming speakers, we are always looking for suggestions. So if you have anybody that you think would make a good speaker for one of our lectures, probably now talking about September and on. Trailer update, Joe.
As far as we know, the company is working on the renovations and we have not been alerted if there's any kind of or anything, John, or anything more?
No, they were happy to add me. I think Tom mentioned the skirt last time, so we added that to the quote. And they're just rolling through. We're in the queue as they have projects coming in, so it's in the works.
Otherwise, not really a lot to say at this point since it's in someone else's court.
Right, yeah, and we're looking forward to having it back in time for Riverfest or something like that.
Riverfest will be the first. Yeah.
Do they have an ETA? Are they able to give an ETA?
Oh no, they're smart.
They know they want it for the spring.
Yeah, we gave them the date of the river fest, and they said that's doable. So
Which has been scheduled for May 2nd. Interpretive signage, do we have any updates there,
No.
Joe? Not really.
No, we're opening a new, well, technically this week we're opening, and it is finished, but we have a new exhibit that our new exhibit manager kind of cut her teeth on. So that's open this week, so that's good. So she can get a focus on things like the interpretive signage, whether it's for the South River Preserve as well as up at Sunset Park. So we'll get her going on that.
Events, I think it's pretty quiet until we see something like Riverfest or the museum rodeo. I don't know
Nothing
anything.
happening until then. So, but May ended up being a busy month, so.
Yeah.
I asked Jennifer to add meetings with legislators to this part of our agenda simply because I've had some and I would like to update you on those. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the state budget and our upcoming efforts to, advocate for construction funds. I went to the pre-legislative holiday brunch with Delegate Wilt and Runyon and Senator Obenshain, and heard them give remarks. This was hosted by the Harrisonburg-Rockingham Chamber of Commerce up at Massanutten Springs. And they gave some comments looking forward to the session. Not surprisingly, they all remarked what a big change it will be because of the turnover in administration as well as in seats in the General Assembly. They did mention their priorities, and obviously they're all representatives of the Shenandoah Valley. They're all interested in transportation issues, business-related issues. Excuse me. And I did get to talk to both Runyon and Obenshain, and this was before we had the governor's proposed budget, but I did mention that we were going to be watching for that.
What kind of reaction did you get?
Well, it was a short conversation, and so I don't think I had much in the way of reaction. They were also did not know what to expect from the governor. I did write down one quote that Tony Wilt mentioned, which I thought was interesting because he said that the Shenandoah Valley really has a good thing going, and one of the things that he really liked was efforts to boost tourism and visitation to the valley. And I thought that was something that we could build on. And I also, there were some specific things that Obenshain mentioned that I think regarding recruitment of businesses and how businesses are looking for quality of life issues as well as, workforce and things like that and training. And so I did make the remark to him in particular about, I think this museum would bring quality of life. And he acknowledged that. He nodded. So I don't think it hurts to get in their ears on occasions like this, well in advance. Yep, well in advance of them being down in Richmond, because once they're in Richmond, they're drinking from a fire hose. So if you can go to one of these pre-legislative events, I think that's a good idea. And I did note that Senator Deeds and Delegate Carlson, on the other side of the mountain here, will be holding a send-off session on Saturday this week, January 10th, from 1 to 2:30 p.m. in Cardinal Hall, and I'm happy to share the invitation with anyone who wants to go to that and send them off, maybe with a few words.
Joe, have we heard, as the governor just did Governor Youngkin just did a whole slew of appointments. Did any of those include our appointments?
No, they are likely going to appoint someone that Tom had recommended. They reached out to us for further contact information, so I'm only assuming that they are reaching out. But as far as our board goes, that would make 14. We still have one seat unfilled and a half a dozen
What
people.
about Steve Lane?
I don't know. They don't really divulge what they're
But
working
they
on.
didn't ask for, of course, they would have this information.
That's the problem contacting, but they don't divulge what they're working on. Even if I asked, the stock answer is like, well, we're working on
Yeah,
that.
sure. Yeah.
We'll look into that and then. get back to you.
Yeah.
so-
I can add to what Tom said. I went to the Augusta Chamber of Commerce, their legislative event on before the governor's budget.
Mhm.
Delegate Campbell McLaughlin came up to me in the very beginning and talked about the museum, and she's on board to do the budget amendment, and she actually mentioned it in her remarks too, as what she'd like to accomplish. So it's
good.
it's very good.
That's a very commitment.
I'm actually
Which
meeting with
district is she?
She is
30.
south 35,
35.
36. I get them
I
confused.
get Runyon.
South Augusta County
Okay,
and Lexington and that way,
okay,
And Wayne's.
and Waynesville.
McLaughlin,
There used to be Campbell.
okay.
And she was the one who submitted the budget at the last time, so she's been supportive of the past. And I'm meeting with her LA this week. Not just about this, but to talk about something.
I mean, filling out the amendment form documentation. So that's fine.
Okay.
We've had that in the past, so they just send it to us, and then we provide the notes when they take.
All right.
That's something we do, we go.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I think I want to raise with her LA that I had really good conversations with a couple of the delegates on the other side of the mountain, and that if she's looking for a patron on, the other side of the aisle, that there are some people over there that would be good to contact.
And I think it's important to stress the fact that this covers it's a regional, multiple legislative districts.
Okay, anything else on community connections anybody want to bring up? Welcome, Carol. I see you there. I know you're listening. Let's go ahead and move to the status of the state budget.
Okay, I'm just gonna have some brief remarks here. Jonathan, please jump in. But BMH as a whole was taken care of as far as our budget goes. Some very slight increases for some operational needs that are virtually automatic. All that said, none of our requests for added funds were entertained. So so that is what it is. Jonathan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
The positive coming out of it is that they left the language in so that we can work on the trailer with maintenance with their funds. That's positive.
What kind of added funds did you request?
600 and some thousand for the general increase in our VITA budgets, salaries, benefits, that kind of thing.
Operating
Nothing.
expense.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got a little bit for salary.
Yeah.
And they're proposing at 2%.
That's part of the
Right. Mhm.
part of what we got there.
Right. So nothing really exciting to add outside. It's nice to, think at least we'll be able to operate without having a distraction back home while we're working on Waynesboro.
That's better than previous years when they were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they're going to have a lot of money that is going to be for one-time use, but the two things, I think I brought this up last meeting, the two things that I've been told that are going to be challenges is one, the Medicaid expansion, and then number two, the help me out here, Maggie, the realignment of state standards.
Yeah.
Right. It's not realignment, there's another term.
There is another term, and I don't remember what it
Yeah.
is, but they're supposedly improving the measurement system to more accurately reflect, this is almost a quote, the progress of children in schools.
And in the end, it's basically how much money is allotted to different schools.
Right.
And as that, it could very well eat into that, that surplus that they're referring to. So, even though there's money out there, a lot of it's already spoken for, and then the rest is gonna be part of the pool that people argue for.
So it changes the way they allocate state funding to the local schools.
Correct. Interestingly, I don't know how much this really applies to this, but it was interesting to me, and this was something that was covered in Cardinal News, which I don't know if you all read up here so much, but it's Southwest Virginia primarily. But it basically looked at the distribution of funds from the state to the local level, which also includes schools. So, for instance, Henry County, where now Martinsville, of course, is a separate government, but in Henry County, the tax base only provides about 15% of the operational funds for Henry County. The rest of it is funds coming from the state to run everything from the fire department, parks and recreation, the schools, and whatever else the government's taking care of. Not every county is that way. Some are givers and some are takers. Henry County is an example of heavy taker, right? And then some of the Northern Virginia, Richmond suburbs are heavy givers, right? And I don't know how much all this factors into that. And as far as this local area goes, it was not real. It was kind of more in the middle. So I don't know if that's something that worked to our advantage or not. I just found an interesting level of kind of farming out of cash around the state. So it's, if anyone's interested, I can forward on the link to it. It was eye-opening.
And that's Cardinal.
Cardinal News, yes.
Yeah, go ahead and please send that out. I'd like to see.
The analysis, even though it's a southwestern, south side and southwestern Virginia periodical, online only, the analysis covers the whole state. And I think it was from ODU. They're summarizing something that ODU put out, if I remember, but if it's not that institution, it's another one. Okay. I have not heard anything. Somebody else has, or is going to come soon, but we still don't know who the Secretary of Education will be. We haven't even heard rumblings who that might be. That will be a very important first meeting. Every secretary except one, but I think that person was an exception. Every other secretary we've had since I've been at the museum has very early on called a meeting of not just members of the agency heads and so forth, but they did it in subsets. So for instance, Secretary Guidera, she met with museums and cultural institutions, Library of Virginia and similar organizations, universities separate, and higher ed centers separate. So I'm assuming a similar pattern will hold true with this. And whether they decide that it is worthwhile. Secretary Guidera was always generous with her time, and I wanted to make sure to have a separate meeting with her about BMH Waynesboro, and she took it. It was brief, it was 15 minutes, but I still think it got the message across, even though things didn't quite work out for us in that administration. So I'm assuming a similar pattern will take hold, and I will, of course, alert everyone as soon as we find out. Jennifer, nothing that came across your desk about who the Secretary of Education is going to be? No?
No, not a thing.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then, unfortunately, I don't have a lot to add to Part C of status of the budget as far as strategy moving forward. Preston had reached out and requested specific input from Jonathan and I about a few different topics. So we filled in some holes for him. We sent him every document we have about BMH Waynesboro, including some of the budget amendments from previous years and so forth. But we have not heard anything concrete yet. He wants to, what his plan is to have kind of a kickoff meeting with this group. And so I'm expecting we'll hear from him hopefully this week, because we don't have a lot of time left.
No, it's.
Yeah, no time.
They're on top of us.
The inauguration is
In
like,
terms of budget
she's,
amendments.
well, I think the governor's inaugurated on what?
14.
Yeah, and the session starts at 7. Or
That was
tomorrow.
later than that.
The session starts later.
The same time, roughly the same time.
That sounds like a day or two.
I don't know exactly.
But often they submit their amendments before the session.
Yeah, I think it was in December.
Yeah.
Budget amendments, those amendments I think are done, right?
Yeah.
And budget amendments are 20th, 20 something, it's not that long after it starts.
26.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, well, I'll reach out to them when we're back at the office first thing tomorrow. I can actually do it on the car going home. But we'll reach out to see if we can't, get something on the calendar for everyone as soon as possible. So again, going back to what he said back in December, that he said it's going to be a pretty heavy lift, they say that every year, in terms of getting a capital project in, a new capital project like this, given the requirements for re-benchmarking, that's the term, re-benchmarking for the state schools, as well as the Medicaid extensions, expansion, I should say. So, but he says it's very important for us to keep the project elevated in people's eyes.
So he's gonna work the inside angle or route at enrichment. We wanna work the outside, the public side of it, right? So shouldn't we start at getting our constituents?
We already have,
Okay.
right? So if there's any group that you want, service organization, we've got Chamber of Commerce. I don't have a list of them in front of me, but we have asked a lot of the folks who've written letters to write a second letter
Okay.
that would parallel what they sent to the governor's office last year.
So the letter we were working on before the holidays.
Now that one, yeah, that's something that folks who haven't sent in yet can use.
Yeah, we wanna do that.
Okay.
I wanna get people like Ann started.
Right.
You know, we need to get it rolling now and get it to the legislators. Not just, not just the governor and the secretary, but we want them to notify their legislators.
Yes.
I think we really have to work the General Assembly. Personally.
Well, these folks will be a key to that. So did I leave that in your inbox? Or did you leave it in mine?
I left it in yours. You were gonna discuss it with staff and then get back.
All right, we will get that back out to everyone tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, look, but nothing's concrete on the Senate and House Finance Committees yet.
Yeah.
So maybe something I don't.
Who's been appointed to
Right.
those, because those are the ones you really need to.
Exactly, that's the target audience.
Federal session starts.
So we'll find out.
And they don't even know where their offices are yet, so.
Right.
But I just think general legislators, if people are willing to send, you're gonna do cards, I think. Weren't you gonna do pre-addressed postcards or something?
yeah, but that's something that we're getting just started on now. By the time we discuss that, staff were pretty scarce.
Yeah. I think we gotta build a broad, this is gonna be tough, and I think we need to just let it, just get as much activity to them as we can. So that when it gets to the decision makers, that they're getting support amongst the general legislation. Because that definitely had an impact last time. And even some of the outside legislators, not just, the local ones, especially over across the mountain.
Tom's point with code picture.
Yeah,
So we'll go off on school.
And that'd be really good because of how heavily leaning it is on the other side of the aisle, so I think.
If not one, two.
Huh?
When you get two conventions.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Amy Lawfer was very supportive of it because she actually served on a museum board and she has a couple of kids who she said she would absolutely bring over here. And so I think I'm going to put that word into Jared's ear when I talk to him. Or LA. But we also need Senator Head to come to the table again, as he did before, with an amendment on his side. I don't know. I haven't had any communications.
I think the last communication was last summer when he called you and asked all the specifics, right? So, gotta assume he's still supportive.
What we'll do is we'll send them the updated material and I mean, this is coming up in the agenda and open discussion, but Greg has a new project scope, so.
Oh, great. Do we know of anybody, a large donor, significant donor, kind of like Jack Bocock level, that has contacts and influence with the legislators or anybody in the government, other than the president? Somebody that's got some serious dollars, it's got some weight to it, that has personal influence.
There's Ben Davenport. He's supported the museum occasionally, but I mean, he's all about Southern Virginia. I'm just not sure.
Well, I'm thinking Jack Bocock is more, you know, and the reason I bring this up is I was reading an article about some project down in Texas. And they just got raised $350 million to do some kind of conservation thing in Texas. And everybody's like, how the hell did that happen? Well, there was a very right-wing conservative, huge donor, business person that has a passion in conservation. And the guy, the nonprofit person, somehow, reached out to this guy and said, look, our needs align. This line brought up with your passion and your business. And he was willing to talk to him. And long story short, he not only threw some money into it, but was able to bring the legislature. And it was because of the money that he brought in there. It was a great strategy. And I was just thinking, we've got Preston, he's very effective. That's, and he's working the technical side of things. You got people like Lisa Carter, who's got this history there. But what we don't have is somebody that's got deep pockets and some leverage to say, I'm passionate about this. This needs to be done. And you guys need to step up, which is what I think this guy did in Texas. And I think he put in some serious money, like $100 million. But relatively speaking, we're asking the Bocock family, on a $38 million ask, if they put up $3 million, which they probably very easily could do, or even more than that, in the name of their mother, grandmother, whatever. That could be the hook, if he's willing to, twist some arms in Richmond.
Well, I will, he's been responsive when I reached out, so,
we're asking him to be more active. Right now he's kind of back, he's waiting for us to get this part accomplished so he can engage his family. We need him to help us get the state to step up so that his family can.
Does he want to have a cup of coffee with us?
He's always been very friendly, he's been very supportive.
I think we can just start by sending him the images and a few other details from the detailed design, since that's done. And tell him the next step is just to get over that hurdle into the capital construction pool.
And do you have 5 minutes to talk about it? You got to ask him directly. We got to ask him directly. We can't say, we know he's going to support it. He knows he's already committed to, investing his family's, all his connections that way. But what we need is something different than what we've been doing. And we've been doing this for almost 20 years. And we've been making steady progress, but this year is going to be extra tough. And we need something that's different to kind of, change the dynamic.
Well, the fact that we're on the precipice of, $35 million commitment from the state. I mean, the state has not said no. It's just basically said it's not your turn yet.
Yeah. But at the rate we're going, when it is our turn, it's going to be a $50 million.
Yeah, but my point is we have something different to offer them.
Yeah.
We need your help to push this project over.
Yeah, we just need him, if it's not him, somebody that he can influence, that can influence. And if they're willing to even say, look, we're positioned to make a serious investment here, but we're not going to do it unless the state steps up, and it's time to do it.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I just wonder what the process is, because now that the governor hasn't included us in the budget, my understanding is it needs to go through the General Assembly with budget amendment on both sides. It needs to go to the conference and all that kind of stuff. Now, maybe somebody can come in there and speak loudly and
I think
convince.
the right person
A few
with the
people
right
that-
influence can make those changes
Yeah.
happen.
A question I have though too is, can the incoming governor make up an amendment without having to go to the general assembly? I don't know the answer.
Well, they can amend it, but it has to be approved by the general assembly.
So she could make an
Everybody's got to
amendment.
sign
They're
this.
gonna have competing budgets.
Yeah.
They will, okay.
Hey, you all. Hey, it's Carol.
Yeah.
Have you had any contacts with Northrop Grumman yet?
No. We
The
have not.
reason I asked that question is I was listening to Tom and his recounting his discussions with Senator Obenshain and Delegate Wilt and Runyon. And, you know, I'm hearing the words jobs, quality of life, and I'm thinking about Waynesboro in particular and Northrop Grumman coming in. It seems to me that that really might be a great place to start in terms of looking for some deep pockets. I'm just wondering what it would take to have those kinds of discussions with them.
Well, I've had very preliminary conversations with them and other major companies, but our strategy has always been that would come after the state funding.
I think what I'm suggesting is that we got to try to change the process, right? We got to get around, and the only way I can think of doing that is you got to get to the right person with the right amount of influence that is passionate and willing to support it, that can sit at a table or sit at, you know, across the chair from somebody and say, look, you know, let's get real. You know, my family's got millions ready to put into this, but you guys got to step up first. And we get that to happen, then the Norfolk Grummans and all the other businesses will fall in, you know. But I'm thinking we got to get somebody that can. We can't accept the process is what I'm trying to say at this point. You know, we follow the process. I think we got to throw a monkey wrench in it a little bit, you know, and I think it's going to be a one-to-one kind of.
So you good with me starting out with phone call?
Absolutely. I think we need to approach him, if nothing else, just to have a conversation. But it needs to be a conversation. It shouldn't be just an email and, hey, here's an update. It's like, look, we want to talk about this. I need 10 minutes of your time. I want to ask you a question. And
I
not
agree.
even, yeah, and leave it open and get in front of him and say, here's what I want. I'm asking if you're willing to do.
I don't know if I should ask this online, but the cops very invested or involved politically.
I don't know, but because of their family and how extensive they are in their history, their long history, everybody probably knows who they are down there.
Yeah.
You know, he's got leverage in places that I'm not aware of, but I'm sure he has. He's the only one I can think of that is passionate about it. The family's got the reasons to support it. It's really a legacy in his mind to his grandmother, I think it was. You know, and she was a very big. Well, you were up there at that meeting, you know. So, you know, they have passion behind it, and that's what we got to have. Is we got to get out of the cerebral thing and get into the passionate side of us, you know, at that level.
Who are you all talking about? We couldn't hear.
Yes.
They have the Royal Orchard
Oh yeah,
property.
the Scott family. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes. There's several family names that are part of that group, and like,
They're Richmond based.
yes, she
Which
was.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think we have to.
I just want to be cautious about doing this in public setting. I think there's some names that come to mind too that are of the similar vein. I just don't want to bring them up.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think there are ways we can reach out to people at that level who have those kinds of connections.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Glenn. That's an
And I'm
important way to
happy to
change
be
the
a part of that
dynamic.
if you
Yeah.
want me to. Because it's not a problem for me to ask people.
It's not a problem.
We've never thought that.
It's never been seen as a weakness.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Well, like I said, he wants to have a kickoff meeting with this group.
Right, so
Right.
that would be an opportunity.
Yeah.
I see this as a parallel thing though. You know, I think it's a strategy that we're trying to, I think we got to try to hit it from all angles. And if we can get somebody in there at the right level, with the right level of passion, that's saying the right things to the right people, you know, it'll fall into place.
Backing up just a little bit, when I was reading the proposed budget from our governor, there were capital construction projects in there that seemed to be new this time, which I didn't see. You know, last time the message was, we're not going to fund any new projects. But I did see some new projects this time, although none of them were museums. They were all seemed to be in higher education institutions.
But it was all economic
Universities.
wasn't it? Like I remember seeing those as well, but it was about creating jobs basically, or creating future
Centers for
Data-
job
data
training.
centers?
Wasn't data centers.
Not in that, not that I saw there. No. There's a lot of discussion, of course, about data centers.
Yes.
So it's a large percent, but
Out of those higher education centers, as you'll note, a lot of them are non-general fund funded. So it's revenues from tuition that are paying for those.
okay.
It's, you know, $10 million of non-general funds. So it's like a,
Yeah.
it's not a bond fund or general fund, it's a non-general.
And endowments.
And endowments, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't pick that up.
95%.
That's
Okay.
just.
Yeah, right. And we are not in that boat. So. It will be an uphill battle, but I think we'll try to do our best. I think Preston has said in the past, the ball's on the field, you know, we've got to take the time to do it and push it as far as we can.
Yeah, and I get it, and I think we've done made a whole lot of progress, but, you know, if it wasn't COVID, it's a conservative governor that doesn't want to build buildings. Now it's Medicare, Medicaid rather, and education, and 2 years it's going to be something else. And, you know,
I had a boss who said that it's never about the money, it's about the priorities.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
So, yeah, I agree with you completely.
Yeah, at some point we got to just say, look, we got to make this happen. I've got some comments on this.
Okay.
This is a good time.
I think, is that where we are? I think in terms of advocacy, we have used in the past this brief that you've worked on, and now we have a revision of. Greg, you want to explain?
Sure, we just redesigned what we had to we put Band-Aids on that one about 6 times. They have not verified all the numbers, so my assignment to Megan on my staff was just to rearrange it to make it look good. So we need to look at the numbers.
Looks much nicer. The green's a little hard to read, especially if you have, you know, you're not wearing glasses, but I would add annual over here on the right page.
Sure, I'll get a couple copies of those.
4.2 million, 4.2 million, revenue or whatever, I can't even read it.
Annual impact.
But it needs to be annual.
Can you give that to me?
It's annual, yeah, the green area here. It does say annual on the number table. But just here, add annual to this period. And then on the very back page, Shenandoah National Park, draws spelled WRS. And then here's a little bit of a mouthful, but I think this is important when we talk about the benefits to the Commonwealth.
Mhm.
So we say increased literacy through expanded cultural programs, whatever. How about if we change that to increased literacy, integrating biology, chemistry, physics, and health, earth sciences by introducing the process of scientific discovery to students and the public alike from all social economic backgrounds.
You're right, that covers everything.
Yeah, and it's a little more impactful. The other one's kind of mealy-mouthed.
Let's see how that
Want me to?
fits.
I wrote it in there.
Yeah, you read it. Great. I wasn't thinking.
I think you left out archaeology.
Yeah, I probably should add that.
That was what?
Archaeology.
Oh, archaeology.
Has anybody attempted this with AI?
Well, that's where that
Really good
came from.
suggestion.
That's where that line came from.
Well, I've been in the last 2 weeks, and I've been totally blown away
Yeah.
at what we've given AI and what's come back with as far as flyers or sketches or, I mean, we even took my mother-in-law, we had matching sets of pajamas, okay? My mother-in-law did not have one, and she had a lousy smile on her face. Wasn't a smile at all. Terrible thing.
She was
Put it
saying.
in
Message
AI.
indeed.
Put it in AI. Told them to put the same pajamas on her and put a smile on her face. And in 5 seconds, it came back.
Is that amazing?
Yeah.
It's just
But
miraculous.
the one that I'd sketched out what I wanted to do on a flyer. And I gave it to a young lady that does some volunteer work, and she threw it into AI. And what it came back with the flyer was just phenomenal.
Mhm.
So my thought is, you know, can you put that in there and not only come up with verbiage, but a whole different graphics
Yeah.
to it? And if you don't like it, you
don't use it.
or you keep on sending it back.
Or you could use parts of it.
That statement there was the answer to why are natural history museums important? And that was the answer. And I was like, damn,
Yeah.
you know, that's pretty good. And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys watched the TED thing I sent around. I did. You know, that point about telling, so it's talking about telling your story. And it's an 18-minute TED talk and this guy did it in like 2010. And he was talking about, you know, incredible companies like Apple that still tell their message versus everybody else, right? And he says, we've got it backwards. Everybody wants to talk about the what, and then the how, and then the why. What is it? It's the museum. It's $40 million. The how is, well, you know, we want to build this thing because the community wants it. Why? Because we're going to educate people into STEM educations. You need to flip it around. Apple never said, we got great computers. Oh, by the way, it'll change your life. What they said is, if you want to change the way you do your business, we have a solution for you. By the way, here's a computer or an iPod or an iPad. And I think that's something that was, I think, very resonating, you know. So that was that comment I gave back on that letter, was that Virginia Museum of Natural History ignites STEM education through the integration of, and that's the front one, that's the first statement, you know, kind of hit you in the face, and then you go into all the boring details, because let's face it, a lot of that stuff's really boring.
Mhm.
And it's information you got to convey, but we got to grab their attention and do something a little bit different than what they're seeing day in and day out as they get ready for the session.
So I kind of taken that same idea, and that is to create a headline.
Yeah.
And I was thinking more of, I like that, but I was thinking more of one investment equals
Yeah.
8 outcomes or something along those lines. But a more general statement is what you just said, is museums ignite STEM education.
Yeah, museum ignites STEM education. And I remember I was in one of my first years on the foundation board. We were at an event, and Dr. Polly was not talking. Dr. Polly teaches at Roanoke College Science or Biology or something. I'm not sure if she's on the board anymore. But I remember asking her, I said, so why is this so important? And she says, well, it's obvious. Everything in the technical world is a basis in the natural world. And I was like, well, that makes sense. I mean, I'm a computer guy, right? So all that stuff, you know, solar panels, photovoltaics, you know, binaries, those and all that stuff isn't it? And I'm like, that makes so much sense to me. So thinking about this whole thing, it's like, why would somebody want to invest $40 million here? Other than the fact that everybody around here wants it, and it would be a great amenity thing, and will attract the economic activity. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a new future for our economy and through STEM. And this is really the mission you guys have. Your whole collections is based on that mission. You know, we are igniting STEM education, or STEM education, STEM futures, through integrating all that stuff. And that's the other thing. That was another aha moment. It's like, well, damn, yeah, it's everything, really. More than a science museum, really. You know, you think about what a natural history museum does, integrating all that kind of stuff. It's more impactful than all the other museums, more than a fine arts museum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I just
No
ask a
context.
basic question?
Uh-huh.
What's your audience for this?
Right.
The general assembly, okay. So that answers one of my questions, is why, why start with the $2 million invested? Because I don't think a private citizen would necessarily be doing that or want to know that. But anyway, so that's good to know. But I like your idea of just for the heck of it, running it through a chat GPT or whatever. It'd be interesting to see, because you got a lot of great information, but it is a lot. It's my first time. And knowing how busy these legislators
We have done
are.
that already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just guess, as you pointed out,
We don't ask
when a
questions.
session starts, they just get bombarded with information.
Yeah, if they haven't heard about it before, it's hard to get them up to speed in the time that you have
Yeah.
there. So you really have to be in front of
Really
them
tight.
early.
Succinct. Yeah.
And that's what's nice about it. You can keep on telling it, condense this, condense this,
Yeah,
condense this
and
to
you can come
this
out with a
many.
one pager,
But-
maybe.
But I think
Tough, but
Lynn's hit on a key point, is that when we start talking about igniting, all of this stuff in here, that's all rationalization for government to do something. They've got to have some sort of back. But the reality is, you got to touch their heart, or else it's not going.
And that's exactly what this guy said in the TED Talk, is the reason why you hit that first, it hits a different part of the brain, and it's the
Yeah.
passionate side. And that's what moves people. I mean, who wants to, like fundraising, who likes to fundraise? Nobody likes to. You do it because you're passionate about what you're raising the money.
Right.
And that changes everything. People ask fundraising for stuff they never thought they would ever ask for money. Because they believe it. You got to make them believe it.
We need you to go to Richmond, Len. I know maybe you're
I've
helpful.
been there.
Don't stand up to it, but yeah, we need people with voices like that in Richmond
When do you guys go?
this month.
'Cause I'm going.
I'll be down there. Yeah, I'll be down there for Conservation Lobby Day, which I think is.
What's the museum
something
thing?
like that? We don't have a museum lobby day. We used to do that. I don't know.
This is the.
We do day trips. So
Yeah. We haven't scheduled it now.
has the schedule come out?
It's out, yeah.
Well, I'll be there on Friday this week and Saturday this week. And then I'll also be there February 4th, which is Conservation Lobby.
I'm out for 29.
I'm open to do more than that.
Yeah, I'll go on it. I'll do that.
Maybe let's have this meeting with Preston, get ourselves organized and get our elevator speech together. Cause that's what I hear you guys saying. You want to
That's
distill this
exactly
down to like an elevator speech, cause that's all you've got when you're done. And so if we can get that together, then maybe we can coordinate on when we go down.
Yeah, I'm off that.
Okay. Good.
Hey, Greg, you might want to, one thing I've been doing as well is you could say, give me a one paragraph call to action based on this. And see what it comes out. But that's that top header thing is important. That's what gets the attention.
I will also say that the briefing papers that the Virginia Conservation Network puts together, which I really like, are typically one pagers. But the last box that they have are, these are the things that we want you to do in this general assembly. We want you to support this budget amendment patroned by this person. We want you to support this House bill, whatever it is. And if we could have that very clearly laid out, I think that would be what we want to bring to, whether it's the legislator themselves or their aide. And oftentimes you end up talking to their aide, and that's sometimes even more important.
That's actually good to do.
Yeah.
We remember the last thought people think about that.
Key is you got to get them down that page down paper.
Put that on top.
Yeah, you could do that. But for the people that are giving the speech or whatever, that's what the last ask is.
Yeah.
Get the heart,
Yeah.
get the details, but the last ask is the action, right? What do you want?
So the last thing, then, you say we want you to act to ignite this, and you go back to the first point.
Light the flame.
Right.
We want you to light the flame. Even spell.
Really, really inspired.
See,
Right, so can I just walk through the homework that
yes.
we have upcoming? Not necessarily with orders, like there's, one, I'll distribute that Harvard News article, no problem there. We're going to, get the verbiage, from our new letter that will include this Ignite STEM education. I'd also like to propose in there that, we talk about bringing, some 50,000 new visitors to the Shenandoah Valley. So we talk about 2/3 of our visitors being from outside the area. That's what we're talking about. So I think people can understand that it's complementary. Nonetheless, we also want to get a hold of two folks in particular, Preston, so we can get rolling, push them on getting the kickoff meeting going, so we can get our legislative strategy consolidated. And I am going to reach out to Jack Bocock, I'm going to be implicating you in that conversation. So on behalf of Glenn Flynn, representing the area as well as the Windward Advocacy Committee, where we need some help with influence, and you have 10 minutes for a conversation.
I'm gonna copy earlier.
And we're also going to look at the GA schedule. We'll get VMH Day determined for anybody who'd like to join us. I know there's more details go under each of those categories, but I think that's our homework that we'll get knocked out this week.
All right,
Anything else for open discussion?
as it is written, so it shall be.
Hearing nothing, I'm going to adjourn our meeting until February 2nd, and we'll be coming back together. That's an interesting time, actually. That will be right in the midst
I
of
won't be
session, so we may want to do that virtual. Is that
We can do
it
virtual is fine, or as we get closer, if you think that there's benefit in using everyone's time most wisely and sending out the kind of electronic briefing, we can do that. So either one is perfectly feasible.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna propose that we, for the time being, make that a virtual meeting and then look for updates on that. Because it's likely that at least some of us will be in virtual.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.